Welcome back, everybody. If you're new, my name's Nicholas and this is Investing Against the Grain. In today's episode, we're coming to you live from Mexico. So last week we were in Costa Rica, this week we're in Mexico. We're just having a lot of fun traveling lately. One of the best things about being financially independent is being able to travel at your leisure. So definitely enjoying it right now. But with that said, I had initially intended this episode to be about my review, my take on FSD 10.11. I was going to make a compilation of all the best things out there, but then Chuck Cook threw me in for a loop. He went ahead and uploaded his unprotected left-hand turn, so I didn't want to create a video and not include that, so we've delayed that video for tomorrow, for Saturday. So keep an eye out for that. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the best parts of 10.11, and when I say best, I mean the most interesting. I'm not here to bias to anything towards Tesla's amazing, Tesla's the best thing ever, or Tesla's crap and FSD doesn't work. I'm trying to make a very objective viewpoint of all the things we've seen from FSD 10.11. The good, the ugly, and the improvement. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to come out tomorrow. In today's episode, what I want to focus on is three things. One, I want to focus on the geopolitics. We'll cover that last. Two, I want to focus on my view on what Tesla's or Elon Musk's new secret master plan part 3, or TWA, I don't know how he's going to say it, but maybe it's TWA, plan might be, what might be in it, what may not be in it. And then finally, and probably the first I'm going to cover, is the stock price for today. So let's just talk about that first. Tesla's stock price. My goodness. Look, I know I made my predictions when I thought things would turn around, how I thought it would play out, and yes, it's come to fruition. But please don't take any of this as me being right or me, accurately timing the market. It's honestly sheer dumb luck. There's many different theses out there. Many people had a maybe similar thought. I don't know if a lot of people had the similar thought a month and a half out, but the point is, it's lucky, okay? Nobody can time the market. For all we know, the Federal Reserve could have increased rates by 50 basis points. For all we know, we could have more tensions with Russia. China could have things going on right now. So, things could have gone very sideways very quickly. But it hasn't. And instead, we, as of this moment, as I'm recording this, we have officially broken $900 yet again. And for some reason, this seems better than ever that we broke $900. It feels like, okay, we have just done something amazing. Look, for all the Tesla Q out there, all the Tesla naysayers, all the Tesla short sellers out there, think about this. Okay, just take 1 second to think about this. If there's ever a time for your predictions of Tesla going to $10, Tesla going to $100, Tesla going bankrupt, Tesla's a fraud, if there's ever a time for that to happen, that to become a reality, it would have been over the last 3 months. Yet instead, here we are with Tesla rallying back up to $900. All right, this has to be something in your mind that has to click at some point to say, maybe I was wrong. If the whole Fed stuff happening, if Elon Musk selling all the shares that he did, even though he ended up with more shares, if everything going on with Russia and Ukraine, if all that stuff didn't do anything to send Tesla down to $10, to $100, or whatever your thesis is, then what will? All right? It's not going to be the quarterly earnings. Tesla's getting better and better with their quarterly earnings. So just saying, it's something you might want to think about. And for all the bulls out there, for all those people who've been holding on to their shares, you're being rewarded, as you can tell. This, again, is why I preach so adamantly about long-term investing, long-term holding. Look, from right now to, say, October of last year, you wouldn't even blink if you just saw the price then and the price now. You'd be like, oh, awesome, $900. That's great. I love where we're at. Right? So you got to put these things in perspective. And keep in mind, in 5 years from now, this will be a blimp in the radar. You won't even remember this. You won't even notice this. If you hear a bird in the background, apologies. I can't do anything about nature. It sounds like we got a bird singing back there, and you just kind of got to go with the flow sometimes. All right, next, let's talk about Tesla's secret plan, part 3. And again, I don't know if that's what he's going to call it, but I'm just anticipating. He called the second one Deuce or Dukes. Maybe that isn't French. I don't know. We're going to go with it. 3. So what do I think will be in it, and what do I think won't be in it? So first of all, let's talk about what I don't think will be in it, because I've seen some people come out, some analysts come out with their thoughts and theories about what will be in it, and I do not think they're right at all. I don't think we're going to see anything where Starlink and Boring Company all of a sudden get part of the Tesla plan. I don't see that happening. I don't think this is going to be anything where Tesla is going to say things that honestly are predictable from an analyst perspective or what they want to see. Right? I keep seeing all these things out there talking about, oh, Tesla's going to get into EV tolls and they're getting into flying cars and all stuff like this doesn't make sense. All right? Elon himself has said that he's not interested in that. So I don't know why everybody keeps talking about that. You know, just the idea of, you know, you can't go as far up into the atmosphere as you can go beneath the ground is one point he's made. And the second point he's made is it's so loud and it's an eyesore. All right? So we don't want more eyesores out there. It's the same reason we're putting power lines underground. And it's the same reason why all these drones are annoying when we can hear them nonstop. Now, supposedly there's ways to dampen that, and I've seen some of that technology, but honestly, it's still loud. It still isn't quiet. And I don't think people want to see that. Another thing to think about, in order for something to go up, especially to hover, what you have to do is you have to push air down. All right? So the effects of that, if you've ever ridden a helicopter, right? I've been in many, many helicopters. I used to have to fly out on a helicopter every time for work. But what a helicopter does is pushes all the air down so that it can go up, right? It will down and out. And this isn't something pleasant. So if we had all these EV tolls and all that, you're going to have the same effect. So I don't think they're going to get into that. I don't think that's part of this at all. I think people who think that, they're missing the obvious signs Elon's been telling us all along. So that leads me into what's going to be in it. So first, I think the most obvious thing that's going to be in there, Optimus Subprime, the humanoid. Tesla or Elon Musk said on the conference call, right? This wasn't even 3 months ago. He said, our most important project that we're working on this year is on Optimus. Like, guys, wake up, all you analysts. I get it. You don't like the idea of this. You also didn't like the idea of electric vehicles. You also didn't like the idea of them getting into power generation. You also didn't like the idea of him starting a rocket company. And you didn't like the idea of him saying you're going to be able to use reusable rockets. I get it. You don't like his ideas until they happen. And then all of a sudden you love it. And all of a sudden he's a genius again. So take a step back. Just like the naysayers on Tesla stock, maybe you should take a step back as well and think twice about what your predictions are for Tesla. Now, let's go back to the humanoid. I think this is going to be the main part of this. It's not just going to be the humanoid, but what it represents. It's essentially, look, FSD is step one towards artificial general intelligence. Step two will be the humanoid, all right? Making that be something that can actually be tangible and usable, right? Using humanoids to displace dangerous jobs. Think about it. Like, for all the people who keep saying this isn't part of Tesla's mission, in what world are you living in? All right? Tesla has a solar company, and one of the most dangerous jobs in the world is roofing. So if you can make a humanoid do the solar installations, well, that's definitely part of the mission. All right? On top of that, anything to do with SpaceX and Mars, and if you want to colonize Mars, or you want to make a test where we send humanoids to Mars before we send humans, do a landing there, and come back without ever risking any human lives, that is part of the mission. And I don't think people get that. So I think it's going to be about humanoids. I think he's going to talk about artificial intelligence, and I think he's going to talk about other things that we can't really think about yet. Right? We may be able to get a fuzzy picture of what he's referencing to, but I don't think he's going to spell it out. And why do I say that? Well, the same reason, if you look at part one, he talked about going to different segments, right? We're going to build this vehicle to make the next one cheaper, and then we're going to use that one to make an even cheaper model, but we didn't know what those models would be. And I think we'll see something very similar with Optimus and artificial general intelligence. Maybe we'll see something with Dojo. Maybe we'll see something about an AWS Lite or Azure Lite consumption model for neural net training with Dojo as a service. I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things. And we also may see a more cohesive idea of how energy, vehicles, FSD, and all of that intertwines, supercharging, insurance, right? How all of that intertwines, right? Maybe you have your electric vehicle that you can use for robo-taxis to make money, that is insured by Tesla, that you can charge at home with your Tesla solar panels and your Tesla power walls. Whenever you have it out working doing robo-taxis, you have a humanoid out there who plugs it in, unplugs it whenever it comes to charging it, and a humanoid that cleans the vehicle if somebody left trash or something, right? how we can tie all of this together, we may see a lot more of that in this master plan. So those are my thoughts. Finally, let's talk about geopolitics. Joe Biden and Xi Jinping just got off a call, a 2-hour-long call discussing Ukraine and other things, of course. Right? It was a video conference call. I think the fact that it lasted for 2 hours is a positive sign. Now, with regards to this, I think we're seeing more of a malleable China, perhaps, or maybe more of a statesman, diplomatic version of China. I've said this a few times now. I think the biggest chess move China could do, that Xi Jinping could do, is become the peacemaker for all of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. That would elevate not only him, but China as a country to contend with, a country that can be viewed, and I'm doing that intentionally, as a peacemaking society. All right, where the U.S. is this warmongering country, China, we haven't seen them in a lot of conflicts, right? And then here they come and they help generate this peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, from a China perspective, that'd be a next level move without a doubt. Now, that doesn't mean my thoughts and my opinions are in line with that. It's just a thought I've had about how this could play out from a strategic perspective, or a chess-like move perspective. So I think that's a positive sign, though, the fact that China seems to not want more of this conflict to go on and on. He doesn't want to see the whole Ukraine destruction continue to happen. He doesn't like the conflict. He doesn't like what's happening to his country. It's weighing on them economically. A lot of the Chinese companies are starting to pull out of Russia, which is a very bullish sign in the bigger scheme of things. But we still have Russia, we still have Putin, and we don't know what's going to happen, right? He seems to have gone off the edge. He's now turning on his own people, essentially, chastising all of the oligarchs that aren't within Russia, and essentially saying that they have a Western mind, but they're not really Russian anymore. They're traitors. So I think Putin is essentially becoming unraveled. I know a lot of media has said that, and for a little bit there, I was thinking this is just them trying to spin a new narrative, but with his recent speech, it really seems like he's become unhinged. Now, this can be very dangerous because anybody who's ever backed into a corner and against a wall, you only have one way to go, and that's forward. And when somebody gets pressured like that, you never know what they're going to do. Sorry about that. We lost audio for a second. But yes, so you never know what they're going to do when they're pushed back against the wall, right? With a company like Tesla, someone like Elon Musk, a lot of great things come out of it. But with somebody like President Putin, Vladimir Putin, you never know, and we don't want to know what would happen. All right, so those are still risks that are on the table. We can't forget about that, but we got to hope for peace, okay? We got to hope that we can get past this. We got to hope that we can get peace at the end of the day. All right, we're going to leave it there for today. Again, apologies for the background noise. Apologies for the sound. It will be better tomorrow, I promise. New place, new location. Got to test it all out. But again, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell. I love you all. Peace.